Watch your step, Majesty.
I'm not looking forward to all the ceremony today.
Your signet ring. There. You're ready.
Thank you, Alexei. Open the doors.
All hail Her Imperial Majesty, Emily Kaldwin.
I wish Mother was still the Empress. I don't think I'm very good at this.
You're still learning.
Royal Protector and Father. I should have passed a law against that combination of titles years ago.
Your Majesty, before we begin the day's observances, we have an unexpected visitor.
I present the lost sister of Jessamine Kaldwin, your rightful empress, Delilah Kaldwin.
Impossible.
My father was Emperor Yuhorn Jacob Kaldwin, and Jessamine was my younger sister. Hear me, all of you. Your rightful empress has returned.
All hail the Empress Delilah. First of her name. Arrest Emily Kaldwin and her father for the crown killer murders.
Cast you in cold marble.
Sweet girl. Over time you'll come to know. Perhaps someday you'll see me as the mother you lost.
I'll lock Lady Emily in her chamber. There's a legend in the Tower Guard about the Empress's last resort, a safe room inside her chambers holding enough gold to buy a good-sized island. They say that this ring is one of the only 2 keys to exist.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick and welcome to Dishonored 2. Now, I was originally gonna play this on my laptop, but this is how that went.
Watch your step, Majesty.
I'm not looking forward to all the ceremony today.
Not great. So I have to unfortunately resort to my Xbox, which means we won't be getting that crisp 60 frames per second we're all used to. But you're just gonna have to put your big boy pants on and suck it up. And without further ado, let's begin Dishonored, the Squeakquel. As you saw in the superb intro, we played Dishonored 2 as Emily Kaldwin about 15 years after the first game. I must say, if you've been watching my series and this is your first introduction to Dishonored, Dishonored 2 actually follows the good ending of Dishonored 1. But because I'm fucking evil, I got the bad ending. The good ending is the exact same as the bad ending, but Samuel doesn't fuck me over, everyone lives, and everyone looks happy. Now that I have you caught up, Dishonored 2 also has the long-awaited return of Delilah, which nobody asked for, and she straight up finesses my throne and kills Corvo. Well, I'm pretty sure he's dead at least. And I'm very curious to know how the hell she got out of the vacuum of the void where Dowd trapped her. After the little party/reunion, I was thrown into this office that had multiple open windows. The dude that threw me in here was Captain Ramsey, one of my trusted subjects that kind of organized this whole surprise party, and is in league with Delilah. Also, there wasn't really a good place to fit this in, but for the story's sake, I thought I'd put it here. In the past few years, there's been this mischievous little fella killing people that don't agree with Emily or Corvo's rule, and they have been dubbed the Crown Killer. And because their murders have been so specific to people that are against us, everyone has sprung their own little conspiracy theories. Even the fucking media has entertained their own ideas. Anyways, let's get back to the action. The way I escaped this place is through my safe room, but that asshole Ramsey took the ring I used to get inside, so I have to deal with him first. After some quick takedowns, I found the little scoundrel in the throne room, now littered with bodies. After he was finished boasting about hanging out with the rich kids back in his day, I crushed his esophagus. Thanks for the ring, dumbass. I then got inside my safe room that was filled to the brim with delectable snacks, a shitter, and an Olympic pool size of gold. And to prank Ramsey, I decided to eat all the snacks in there, smash all the bottles so there's glass everywhere on the floor, take a fat shit, and then leave the guy trapped so he has to deal with the horrible stench while starving. Because, you know, I'm just a little trickster like that. I then left the place to the sewers, which I would probably call a downgrade. If I knew I was going there, I would have stayed in the safe room. Luckily, I wasn't there long as I found a way to the outside on a delightfully sunny day. The outside wasn't too friendly though, because even though every single guard inside the building was fast asleep, somehow they found out that I escaped. But because my stealth game resume is quite lengthy, I maneuvered past them with my master assassin skills, and along the way, I found one of the Crown Killer's recent victims. And damn was it gruesome. Whoever this is truly has a fucked mind. Make sure to leave all your favorite Crown Killer fanfics in the comments below. I then met the journalist that published a newspaper newspaper article accusing me and Corvo of potentially being the Crown Killer. I was about to snap his neck when he started to say that he was simply misinformed and that he hopes I succeed in taking back the throne. Alright man, well now I can't kill you, I'll feel like an asshole. My final stop on the street of death was a bar, and since everyone in there was a civilian, no one gave a shit that I was there. For some odd reason though, when I opened the cash register and tried to rob the place, the dude ran out of the bar and called for the guards. What a douchebag. Damn, sorry dude, I didn't realize that you cherish $6 so fucking much. After all my shenanigans, I traveled to my objective, which was some shit by the docks. This is because there was a captain there that my now deceased friend Captain Mayhew told me about, and since she's like dead and shit, I kind of feel obliged to respect her final wishes. After boarding the ship, I found the captain whose name was Megan Foster. I told her we needed to go to a place called Karnaca because this is where the Crown Killer murders started. To be honest, I don't give a flying fuck what happened, and I would much rather stay in Dunwall, collect all the citizens, and start a rebellion. But of course, Emily doesn't have my supreme intellect, and she couldn't possibly conjure up an idea like that. When we established our destination and set out on the journey, I took a nap in my quarters and woke up in the void. Just like the last game, this is my introduction to powers and the outsider. But if I'm being completely honest, just look at this place. This is dog shit. This is not the void we all know and love. This is just a pit of sadness. I thought the first void was depressing, but this is just empty, null of any emotion. Arcane Studios, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And why the fuck does the outsider look like that? Anyways, I got my powers, you all know what went down, and was on my way. I explored the ship a bit before throwing a glass bottle at Megan's head, completely slumping her as she fell into cardiac arrest. I then actually had a structured conversation with her about how the Crown Killer kidnapped our boy Sokolov while he was with Megan. She followed them to the Addermire Institute, which is run by the alchemist Hypatia. So Hypatia and the Institute itself is the best lead we have to finding Sokolov and catching the Crown Killer. I then actually went to Karnaca and began looking for the carriage that would take me to Addermire. I got a nice 9 FPS on my way over there, and when we reached the land, I began to steal everyone's belongings for profit. I then went to this black market shop, which is a kind of replacement for Piero's workshop. Anyways, these guys are not ones for disruption, because when I knocked over a sign, they closed up shop and the clerk ran for his fucking life. So when you're around these guys, you better make sure you're on your best behavior. After that, I found this building that was necessary for me to go through that was infested with things called blood flies. Blood flies are little shits because they're basically rats from the last game, but they fly. Now at the beginning, I was terrified of these things and moved very slowly through the room, trying not to aggravate them. I then realized that their entire swarm could be taken out in 2 swipes of a sword, and I began to breeze through the house. After I completed my little exterminator minigame, I think the blood flies began to respect my authority and power because as I was trying to figure out how to get past these guards, they fucking jumped them, ripping them to pieces. So I think it's safe to say that we have mutual respect for each other. I then snuck into the carriage station and got on the carriage. We are now one step closer to finding out who this masked murderer is. I rode the carriage all the way to Addermire, and when I got there, I snuck in through this side window into this kitchen. And you all know the drill. When I got in there, I closed the windpipes of the employees and their new unconscious states popped up on their names. And after collecting another rune, I acquired what is probably my favorite ability in the game, the domino ability. Basically, this allows you to link 2 enemies like a fucking hive mind or some shit, and when one dies or becomes unconscious, it applies to both of them. And with some upgrades, you can turn this from 2 targets to 4. This thing is up there with that standstill invisibility cloak charm from the DLC. I then got a little careless with my actions because at one point I just straight up opened the door to a bunch of rabid dogs. I then had about 5 solid seconds to kind of back out of this by closing the door, but I just went all the way with it, huddled in a corner and got fucking mauled. And because I'm a mad scientist, I wanted to do a little bit of experimentation, so I brought in some live meat to the dogs. Needless to say, it did not end well. At one point, my little domino power didn't go to plan because when I tried to knock out some guys, they may have met a fiery demise. And if we take a look at the Jumbotron, slow down the footage, and zoom in, you can see that I clearly take out my sleeping darts. So not really sure what happened there. Even after they're dead, I still have the sleep darts equipped. Maybe it was just meant to be. After that supernatural event, I found my way into Hypatia's office where I found a note that she was not in there. Upon closer inspection and basically trashing the place, I found a key that would let me get into places I couldn't get into previously. One of these places is the recuperation room, which wasn't in great shape. This was slightly worrying because this is where the note said Hypatia would be. If I find a dead alchemist eaten alive by blood flies, I'ma be a little pissed off. Eventually, as I ventured farther into this wing of the building, I found a room with some clues to Sokolov's location. The guy that supposedly kidnapped Sokolov or helped kidnap him left me a recording congratulating me on finding him. He told me that he gave the old man to some shithead named Kieran Jindosh and told me that the Crown Killer murders would be continuing as usual, with Boyle being next on the list. So this place is kind of a dead end, and I spent 2.5 hours here for fucking nothing. Anyways, I guess my game switched to Outlast when I went into this little surgery area where I found a very sickly looking Vasco, who works with Hypatia. I began to speak with the Mount Massive patient, and he just straight up let me know that Hypatia was the crown killer. I mean, alright, I was kind of enjoying the chase, asshole, you really ruined the surprise. He also told me that Hypatia isn't really herself right now because she drank a serum that was supposed to help the miners. This serum didn't really go as planned, and her mind got all fucked. But underneath the monster created from the serum is a good person. Hypatia never really meant for any of this to happen, and I can still save her with Vasco's cure. Alright, Vasco, I'll do everything in my power. Holy shit, what the fuck? Damn, Hypatia, you gave me quite the startle there. Alright, now that demon Hypatia is roaming around, it's gonna be a little more difficult finding that cure. She was also a bit of a sweat because when I attempted to go up the stairs, she was camping it like a bitch. And she just fucking refused to be choked out because I tried like 8 times and she reversed all of them. She wasn't much of a chaser though, because every time she saw me, all I would have to do was exit the room to lose her. After I broke her ankles quite a few times, I found Vasco's cure. After engaging in a bit of mischievousness in his office and finishing the cure, I took the syringe and ran back to Hypatia. She didn't put up much of a fight when I jumped in on her from the top rope and injected her. This is when Hypatia returned to her normal self and just sat there not doing much. After the very useless confrontation with Hypatia, I ran back to Megan's boat where she took me back to the ship. On our way, I dropped all the hot gossip on her and she informed me about Kieran Jindosh. I guess our little target is a well-known guy and has invented some crazy things in the name of money. So my next mission is quite the twofer because not only will I be saving Sokolov, I'll be eliminating Mr. Jindosh. Well, considering Sokolov is actually fucking there this time. Once Megan dropped me off at daycare, I paid a little visit to the black market. But as I was about to shop for supplies of questionable legality, some gang came in to cause a ruckus. Fortunately for the shopkeeper, I don't accept this kind of tomfoolery and I rendered them unconscious in one swift movement. And one of these gang members transmogrified into fucking rats as he fell. Can't say I've seen that party trick before, but it was very impressive. After that, I bought all the stuff I needed and headed back out. I then looted the streets for a while until I made it to the carriage station, and after I took out the carriage guardians, it brought me to Jindosh's humble abode. I entered the mansion and started breaking shit as I tend to do, and found an audiograph at the center of the room. When I played it, Jindosh began speaking. I forgot to mention that Jindosh is an inventor, scientist, engineer, and is batshit crazy. In his recording for me, he told me about the booby traps he set up, and it was quite unlikely that I would get through them. Many people have tried before, but none have succeeded. I guess the silly little boy forgot to consider the fact that I was trained by Corvo, and I will not go down easily. I opened the next door in the house and noticed that it didn't have any other doors or entrances into other rooms. The only thing I could do was pull this lever. Suddenly, the room completely fucking transformed in seconds, and this is when I saw my first robot.